Hey friends, Anthony coming to you from Floriology today. We're doing a couple different designs for a photo shoot for the NAPCO catalog. These are some design inspirations that we're going to be photographing throughout the week, and these are going to be inputted into the catalog. So what I want to kind of do is give you a little idea of some things that you can work on, what you can take some products, utilize them in fresh design work. What I'm going to do today is we're going to take this great little globe and we're going to use it in a centerpiece. I want to kind of show you some mechanical setups that I use. Might be a good idea for you, little tricks maybe that'll help you out a little bit. So what we've done is we've set up the centerpiece with some wet Oasis foam, and I've got some of the dry foam here as well. So what I want to do is I want to have this as part of my centerpiece. So I'm working with some of the hyacinth stakes. I've cut them in some different sizes, and we're going to attach this right on into it to secure this foam right into the Oasis. So the reason I'm doing that is I want to have a dry surface to be able to put the globe onto. Being that it's a keepsake, we want to be able to make sure that the recipient is able to keep it. So once we've secured this, and remember your hyacinth stakes, once they hit water, they're going to expand, so they're going to hold it in place really well. So then I'm going to center this onto it. Now I want to go back in and help secure it. Sometimes you want to be very careful not to secure it permanently because there is a battery and off and on switch at the bottom. So I want to be able to secure it in here so it holds in place well enough for the recipient to enjoy it for the holiday. So I'm taking my stakes and I'm just kind of putting in there as a nice wedge. Need a few more here. Most of this is going to make a big difference in transportation as well. So we'll get those down in nice and good. And remember, some of these mechanics of the hyacinth stakes will be covered with the greenery as well as the flowers. So get that in there really well. So kind of got it set in place. It's not going to go anywhere. It's going to set really well for you. So now I want to go back in and start doing the actual design around it. So with the design, I'm going to be working with hydrangeas, a couple lilies, dendrobium orchids. I'm going to have some carnations. And I'm going to also give it a nice little sheltering effect. But I love using hydrangeas. Great cost, makes the arrangement look nice and full. So we're going to also take this product here. This is a great vine that's a wire vine. Can be used in a lot of different ways. I'm going to use it to actually shelter over this globe. I think it's going to be a fun look. So let's see as we go. Working with products like this helps give a great texture, great natural look to it as well. And it helps highlight this great globe. These globes are really, really pretty. Nice keepsake, nice item that they can have afterwards. And I love this rustic appeal to them. Okay. So giving it some great texture will help just accent it even better. Okay, now that I'm in, I'm just kind of working it around, giving it a little bit of a decorative element, as you can see here. This is another great way to hold and secure this globe into the foam. Remember, having the hyacinth stakes is going to keep everything nice and secure. They're going to swell with the water, but this is just another extra way to make sure it stays in place. When I'm working with Christmas greens or holiday greens, do remember this. Heavy greenery can cause you a little bit of a problem, and I always like to look at my greenery as part of my flowers because you got to charge for all of these items. You want to focus on the actual item that you're focusing with, which is the globe. So we want to make sure that we get a really pretty look for the globe and not it be all the greenery. But we want to make it nice and full. So I'm going to start just with the simple foundation. And as we're designing this, we have to remember we have to cover up our mechanics. And all I've done is pick up a variety of greens. working with some noble, working with a little bit of pine. There's going to be some cedar in here. But I want these to be part of the design, so they're going to help create a great line into it for us. Just give us just additional elements. Like I say, don't overgreen. The stems, remember the stems of evergreens are a little bit thicker, so you want to make sure you have enough space for your floral products that you're going to be working with. You know, the fresh floral products, they need to have plenty of water source, so you don't want to overgreen. You want to be able to have that nice, secure, feeling when you're putting in your greens and it's not shoving them into there. All right. So now I've done a simple base of my greenery. Get these guys out of our way here for you. So you can just kind of see where we're starting out at here. Now I'm going to come back in with the the fresh product. Work with some beautiful big white lilies. You don't need a whole lot with something like this. I'm really going to try to focus a lot on the texture into this design. I love working with the buds. The one thing I like to do with the buds is I like to take off all the greenery. The buds really have another additional texture, so they're really fun to work with. And if you bring them back into it, it really looks great. Don't discard any of these pieces, the ones that aren't open, your tight buds. Utilize this product. This is part of the stem. It just helps extend the look of the arrangement, gives it a lot more appeal, as well as brings in that texture that we're trying to go for. I think texture is a really big key when it comes to creating a design that's interesting and eye-catching. A lot of times when you're using monochromatic and white, I'm doing in this one here, you tend to lose that if you don't get a great texture into it. So we got that now. I'm going to come back in with just a little bit of pine. The pine's nice and full, fuzzy, so it's going to take up a little bit more of those spaces that I'm looking for. So as I'm doing this, I'm remembering that I have the dry foam in here that the actual globe is sitting on, that we want to be sure to cover that very well. So I'm taking this and pretty much collaring it, you know, in a sense around that dry foam that's sitting on top of the wet oasis. So it's actually going to be a great attraction to the center of the globe there too. So as you see right here where we're at, this is where I'm trying to cover up here. So here's where we're going so far. Give this some great elements. Now I'm going to bring in some of the hydrangea. Like I said before, the hydrangea takes up a lot of space, great texture. It's actually an inexpensive flower now, so it's something that we can utilize and work with a lot. One thing to remember is it really requires water. When you're inserting it into the foam, be sure you angle it down to where that bottom foam is. A lot of times you don't water it or it's not watered regularly. So as long as it's angled to the bottom of that reservoir of the container, it's going to get as much water as possible. So be sure you angle it down really well. So I kind of think it gives that little appeal of snow too. It's really fun. Now, as you may have noticed when I was designing, there were still quite a few holes that I didn't fill it up with Christmas greens or holiday greens. This is not my intention. My intention is to create a floral design that has your greenery as part of the element of the design. So now I want to come back in with carnations. Love working with carnations. The texture of the carnations work really, really well. Long-lasting product. It looks really, really beautiful. The white is such a great color to work with. It just has such a nice texture to it. So I'm just going to come back in and accent a little bit. Do a little bit of a grouping of these here together. You know, remember, you know, the impact in grouping makes such a difference. It really does. Just these little simple tricks that can actually help you stand apart from, you know, maybe your competition. You know, you just really want to make sure that your designs, you know, have your own personality towards them. you know, creating arrangements that represent you and your brand is such a really great thing to do. Love the little berries. These are absolutely gorgeous. This juniper has some great berries onto it. Love the little bit of that gray blue of the berry. So what I like to do with juniper, I don't like to use a whole lot of it. I like, of course, just to use it as an accent, but the fun part of it is when you're putting it in there, you can use it as part of the design again, you know, instead of it being so deep down and low. So I'm using stems right. Again, I'm camouflaging what's going around this globe. So far it looks great. So right at this point, we have none of the mechanics showing where the globe is sitting on, which is really great. Always remember, you've got to cover up those mechanics that you're setting things on. Just looks, it's cleaner, it just is a nice appeal. And now our globe is really becoming the focal point here. So once we get a lot of our floral products in there, are fresh, I want to make sure that these branches are a really important part of the design. So I want to bend them around so they actually help accent that globe. The globe is our main centerpiece here into the arrangement, so we want to be sure that this is a major factor into it. So now I love to work with a little bit of cedar eucalyptus. We're almost done. This cedar eucalyptus is just going to give us that little bit additional texture into the design. Then I'm going to follow through with just a little bit onto the back side here. This was probably about a stem, maybe a stem and a half at the most. I'm not using it all. So far I've only used about 4 little breaks off of it. You know, sometimes you got to be able to judge that stem very well, so that way you get your value off of the stem. Don't forget to charge for it properly. The overall design, you know, once you're finished, you know, your focal cost is right here, so you want to make sure that all your greens are accounted for as well. Just finishing off a couple little holes back here. Again, following through, it's just as important to follow through with your greenery because of the different textures of it as it is with your floral products. All right, so I think we're about there. I like to work in 5s with the products, that's just carnations, so I'm going to come back through. I have a little bit of grouping over here. I'm going to bring a few back here to the side here. Remember, this being a globe, the front of it is an important factor here. However, I don't like to see a centerpiece or a design with something like this all frontal. You know, bringing flowers around, what if someone sits it in the center of the table? Still looks great from both sides. Remember, this one's going to be a big focus because it has a little switch that turns on. So the little trees that are down inside here do light up. So we're going to finish off the back side here. And voila, we have a great little globe centerpiece, great accents. Keep an eye out for it in the NAPCO catalog for some great design inspirations. Thanks for joining us.